Hey James, how's it going, man? Good to see you
Yo,
again.
yes, I know. What episode is this we're on?
It's like
The
6, something like that.
7, 6?
I don't know.
We're
Yeah.
losing count now.
Oh man, look at us. Yeah. Have a good week. Did you do anything this weekend?
This weekend, I actually went to Glencoe last week
What is
with
that?
Katie. Glencoe, it's a place in Scotland. It's like
Okay.
a 2-hour drive away. I think you'd actually love it, to be honest. It's very outdoorsy, lots of mountains, lots of fresh air.
Yeah.
Very, very, detached from the city life, but beautiful, beautiful place. That we actually went there last year, and it's basically like a small little kind of cabin that you live in, and it's like very, like honestly, it's tiny. It's probably like
Did you go to the same ones?
the same one. So
Yeah,
I
I
think I
remember
should.
sending pictures of that last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to the
Yeah, that
same
looks
place.
incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I do
And
know what this is. Yeah.
it's like right on it's like right on a little stream river. So yeah, we went there for a night, and yeah, we just drove up. It's just such a beautiful drive as well.
Looks
Um,
amazing.
and yeah, we stayed overnight. You get your firewood, you get like marshmallows, and um, you get a little you get a little box when you arrive, and it's got like hot chocolate and shit like that in it.
Cool.
It's good. It's got a hot tub as well, so we're in the hot tub for like fucking 4 hours.
Yeah, and you're shriveling.
Yeah. I was like, I think it's time to get out of here. But
Yeah.
yeah, when you spend too long in that hot tub, man, you just crash out. Like literally went back into the little cabin thing and got a
Yeah.
shower and instantly crashed out. Put
Yeah.
a movie on for like 10 minutes and was like crashed out. But yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, apart from that, I was mentioning to you just before, obviously, I've just settled on like a second property there, which is fun. Um, so yeah, just have to kind of get that, cleaned up. Just it doesn't need any work. It doesn't need any renovation work or anything like that. It's literally perfect. It just needs a clean or whatever. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. What about you?
Did some cleaning, some like house cleanup. I'm a
Right.
notorious box hoarder.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like, the most products that I buy, I keep the box of it.
Yeah.
Also just because I'm not really like a flipper, but if I'm not using something anymore, I sell it. And
Right.
I personally like to have like the original box for things, and it's easier to ship. When we moved here a few years ago, I still had all the TV boxes for all the TVs in the house. So it was nice because I could just use all of those boxes and not figure out how to get shipping boxes for televisions.
Yeah.
Um, but then I kept them here, and I just don't want to deal with them anymore. So like
Yeah.
boxes were in a store. It's not a problem, but it's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
There's an area of the basement that could be better utilized,
Yeah.
and
And it's just got all your boxes in it.
there's a lot of breaking down boxes and giving that up this
Yeah.
weekend. But then that uncovered, they're like, gosh, there's so much stuff that we just never unpacked from the move, and
Right.
like clearly a few years later, we don't need that anymore. So it's
Yeah.
like, what can we donate? What can't we donate? So like
Yeah.
separating what we want to donate. But then there's just a bunch of just stuff like decor and things like that. It's like, I just don't want it anymore. And I don't want it here, and I don't want to get rid of it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have them here, but here in America, we have these bagsters, is what they're called. They're like a portable dumpster, and you go to
All
a
right.
hardware store and you fold it out, and it's this like 8 foot by 4 foot, like 3 foot tall dumpster, like burlap sack thickness.
Right.
The limit for pickup is like 3,300 pounds. So you're gonna have to do all this calculation to figure out the
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm using freedom units on all this stuff, of course.
Yeah.
Uh, so we filled it up like with just so much stuff, and then you call the local waste company, and they just come with like this garbage
Oh,
truck
that's
that has
pretty
a
cool.
crane on it, and it just picks it
Yeah.
up, puts it in the garbage truck, and drives away.
Right. Yeah.
There's
We
just
have
a lot
to.
of cleanup.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
just have like separate, like I know what you mean now, but like we actually have like a recycling. What would you call it? Like a recycling place you just drive
Mhm.
to, but I suppose you're limited by the size of car you've got. Obviously, I've got the
Yeah,
Tesla, so it's got like a lot of room, so I can get
yeah.
quite a bit in it. But if you've got a small car, you'd need to do like 4 or 5 trips.
No,
to
I have a big
the
pickup
place.
truck, but it wouldn't have been able to hold
Yeah,
all the stuff that we put into this. But all the
yeah.
cardboard got broken down into separate cardboard pieces. We have a recycling center nearby, and it's free to drop it off. So
Hmm.
something I'll do later this afternoon is drive over that's like 10 minutes away and drive over there,
Right.
and pull the truck up on the scale, and then you go over to the bin and dump it all out, and then reweigh and drive away. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was it was productive home stuff this
Yeah,
weekend.
productive
But
home stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
you
this
got it.
week,
You have to do it. You have to do it
oh
sometimes.
yeah, have
We've
fun.
got we've got like we moved in here 3 years now. I think we've been here, and
Mm,
like we are still like basically decorating some rooms as well. So we've been talking about like trying to decorate the downstairs bathroom. It's just like the default, white color, like literally just sink and uh,
mm.
you know toilet pan, and it's not no decoration whatsoever. But it's just like a bathroom that we never use. So we're just like, do we spend all this money and decorate it just to, you know, just dilemma. So
I just
yeah,
picture your whole house looking like your living room. Like if you follow James on Twitter, you see like lots of pictures of marble
yeah, no, it's
and
not. It's nothing like that at all.
and his couch and all that, and I picture like the bathrooms being like that as well.
Yeah,
But
no. Upstairs bathroom is obviously like, because I moved into like a new build, you get like you get to choose like tiles, like the tiles that you want on the walls and whatever. So we did that for the upstairs bathroom, and I kind of wish we'd just done it for the bottom bathroom now, because it's just like a blank canvas. Like, it's literally got a sink and a toilet in it. So,
mm,
um, yeah, it's yeah. I need to get on like some AI tool and start like trying to prompt out some ideas.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
need to do it
yeah.
for my garden as well, because like we're slowly picking away at the garden. We got like a fence done, like a Venetian style fence where like the slats go kind of horizontally. Um, so we got that done in the summer this summer, but it's got like a kind of large sort of section for like plants and stuff. So I kind of want to make it look cool with like different plants, like olive trees or whatever. But yeah, I have no idea where to start with
Mm.
gardening. So I need to. That's another thing I'll need to be asking ChatGPT is to help me out there.
Well, welcome to our design podcast where we talk
No.
about living rooms, bathrooms, gardens, and basements. So
Yep, I know. Hope you're
dumpsters
enjoying
and
the
recycling.
content.
Yeah. So this week is going to be a pretty productive week for me as far as the design. I'm going next week to New York to hang out with some of the team, and my boss has asked if I would do some sort of presentation around like just
Nice.
feedback and general opportunity that I see, being a bit fresh eye. And I know there's some other leaders that are doing that as well. So I'm really excited about it. So it's just kind of like a lot of preparation. I'm still doing a lot of exploration on the work that I'm taking on as well. Starting to write a bunch of code, like yeah, getting in the groove. It's feeling really good. Really excited to go there next week. It's a big company,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
of course.
but I mean for how big it just doesn't feel that way to me yet because it feels very efficient. The people are so nice. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
just meet so many people that are just so eager to just make awesome stuff, and it's really awesome.
I've got a question. I don't know how much you can say, obviously, but when you're jumping in and you're kind of, you're jumping into like your first project, and you know that you know you're jumping in new, and obviously there's designers that have been there for a while or whatever, and also designers that are probably joining around about the same time as you as well. But like, how do you approach it where because I feel like I might have a different answer for this, but how do you feel about like jumping into like some, like, say for example you were redesigning like a part of like the UI for a particular part of the product?
Mhm.
How would you approach it? Um, you know, in a general sense, like for me, I would obviously, it's always like I relate this to like freelance work where very rarely or very seldomly I'll take on work where I'll have I'll be working on top of like another designer's work, just because I like to like, and it's totally different, I guess, from the freelance and full time stuff. But um, I just feel like it's difficult to like jump into like another designer's mind and like what they were thinking to sort of like capture like what they were trying, but also at the same time put your own spin on things. So like, how do you approach that in a sense? So say for example you were designing a part of like the product, like, you know, how do you like approach that with like such a big team at, you know, at Shopify?
Yeah. So the teams, they're split up into a bunch of different teams, of course. There's different
Oh
groups
yeah.
of folks responsible for different surfaces. Um, Historical context is super valuable, of course, and I certainly, it's everyone's job to kind of pull that out and get what you need to know. But I also try to get as little as possible because I don't want to be distracted by what got them to where they are. I want to focus on what's going to get them to where they want to be.
Of
And
course.
it might be very distracting or misleading to take historical context too seriously, being that, especially for a company that's 20 some years old now, and that large, that there's a lot that has happened over time and technology has evolved. We're going into this new era of AI and leveraging
Hmm.
AI within it. And obviously, Shopify is very publicly invested in AI and how do we move the needle for merchants leveraging AI. And part of my job is to reimagine how users and merchants interact with our interfaces with an AI copilot, with AI powering it. Their interactions, dynamic UIs, like there's so many ideas out there. We just have to figure out how to bring them to life. Historical context just doesn't matter as much anymore when it comes to that type of stuff because you're working with, new tech, the where you got, from with what you were using before is less relevant, being that now you're capable of so much more and so much more innovation and so much change and figuring out how to adapt to that. So to answer your question, I try to go into these new projects with a very fresh perspective and
Hmm.
try to push on the solutions through what I, Derek, think might should happen. And then if I
Yeah.
need to dial back or someone needs to dial me back on some sort of variable that I'm not aware of or didn't take into consideration because
Hmm.
of the lack of knowledge of maybe how a system works or something's not ready for that, and then we
Yeah.
have to adjust to what needs to be built to be able to be prepared for this solution. So yeah, I like to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I really want to spend more time working towards the future rather than figuring out the past. So,
Yeah,
and
I think
that's
that's a good. I think that's a good point. You know, I know for me in the past on that sort of situation, I've probably been a bit hesitant to like, you know, because you have that context of, you know, a previous designers maybe worked on like a particular section or UI, and you kind of want to you want to maintain their work in a sense, but at the same time, you also want to add value and take your own approach. And I feel like that's like a good lesson for sure. I think, you know, just jumping in and waiting for that moment to happen,
Mhm.
whether that's someone chimes in and says, "Oh, by the way, you know, we're doing it this way, or we have to do it this way," and I feel like, yeah, the lesson there is just to kind of hit the ground running and sort of wait for that to happen. You know, I feel like I guess it's a good thing for you as well, the fact that you're pretty new there and you probably have like a bunch of ideas, you know, so
Mhm.
the other designers on the team, maybe, you know, maybe they've been, you know, maybe sort of like stuck for ideas in a certain part of the product as well. And, you know, that's where the luxury of like having new people join the team maybe helps with like generating those ideas as well. So, um, yeah, I've always been curious about that because I know for me in the past, definitely I've always sort of like had in mind, um, I've always had in mind like the designers before me or the designers that are still on the team and still working on the product,
Mhm.
and you kind of don't want to almost go in and all guns blazing and change everything and like, but trying to maintain that same familiarity and stuff like that on whatever it is you're designing, I think is important as well. So yeah, striking that balance, I think, is a sort of like a kind of good approach as well.
Yeah, it's I started on like one project, and now I am 2 or 3 projects different from that already, with those other 3 not being touched anymore, because I've like figured out these more foundational improvements we can make and then work our way back up from there. What I've told folks in internally is like, it doesn't matter how pretty this end result is if the foundations of it aren't great. Either the
Hmm.
interactions, the developer experience, the user experience, like those have to be nailed before any sort of paint gets put on it, because it just
Hmm.
doesn't matter how pretty it is if it doesn't work well.
Hmm.
So that has then led me down this path of like, here's an initial initiative that I'm focused on working on. How can we solve this problem? And then digging into maybe like how it's built, or kind of how they got there before, and like, well, if we change this, then this is going to make this better. So then I start digging into this next thing. I'm like, man, there's a lot of opportunity to improve this. Like, let's talk with
Hmm.
maybe the engineers on this and figure that out. Kind of understand, you know, this current state of this system, and then maybe the designs around this system, and then that's taking me even further into like, there's some opportunity with that system to improve that so that this one's better, which in returns this one's better and this one's better. So it's been a it's been an unclear path, but intentionally. It's like,
Yeah.
Derek, go figure this out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
better. Here are the people that
Yeah.
that are working on that. Talk with them. And that's another thing about Shopify, is that the surprising, actually, I have heard in startups, and I've worked for a lot of startups, I've heard the terms around like, that's just the way it is. That's just how it works. That's how it's built to work. I've
Hmm.
heard that so many times in my career, and I've not heard that at Shopify. And I'm really surprised. You go from like 50-person teams to 8,000-person teams. And they're just like, yeah, what do we need to do? Like, we'll just make it better. And just eager to make it better. And that's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
It's no ego, low ego. I mean, it's the environment on the teams that I'm particular. There's 2 teams that I'm interfacing with quite a bit, and everybody's just eager to just make things better.
Yeah.
And they're like excited about the opportunity to make things better. And
Yeah.
I've presented ideas, and it's just like, how are they going to receive this? Because this is a large change, and folks are just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, because I'm just like, but like, here's some inspiration, here's some ideas around this. Go get it across the line. And let me know if you have any questions on it.
Yeah.
And they're just excited about that. And I think that that's wonderful, because I would expect more like like, this is my area, like
Yeah.
I
Like a pushback.
this
Yeah.
for a while, and this is how it
Yeah.
is. Like, why are we going to change it again or something like that? They're just like,
Hmm.
oh, it's better, then let's do it. And that's really awesome.
I don't know if
And
you've seen, this is sort of like a related sort of thing. Did you see like John Famous? John Famous. I don't know how
I,
you pronounce his second name. I don't know if you've seen like his approach when he like joined back to Vercel, and he sort of like publicly is tweeting the sort of small incremental changes that he's making. I just thought that was such a clever sort of approach to like. I mean, I guess he's making himself like sort of accountable in a way, like publicly. But I just think it's like such a good sort of it was a nice sort of change from seeing people obviously working in the background on like massive projects, but that was a good way of like showing the everyday sort of like chipping away at the sort of issues that can probably sort of add up over time, at like a large company like the Vercel. I don't know, I just thought that was like a really cool way of like tackling those like small things that you just kind of think, like, I'll leave that to like another day, but it's like it's those sort of jobs, I just felt like that was like a really cool I don't know, like a nice approach to sort of like chipping away at all those sort of not so fun sort of like issues that pop up. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, I did see that. I think it's just so John to do something like that too.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
just come back in and just be like, I want to fix this. I want to fix this. I want to fix this. And just little PRs everywhere. And yeah, I mean, it's like, do it. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to be bummed out for you to make things better. Like
Yeah,
just
of
do it,
course.
especially like small things, that
Yeah.
don't need to ask for permission on that. Like it's just a paper cut and
Yeah.
shifting gears for an hour or so and fix this thing
Yeah.
and ship it. And yeah, it's awesome. For Shopify, like there's a massive code base and there's a lot um to get it's more to get it into production and such. So still learning those systems processes, and there's a significant amount of engineers that are working on it. So it's right now for me valuable for the folks that are most familiar with those systems committing that code. But with that being said, like the code that I'm writing is something to hand over to those folks to get into the code base. I'm excited about that. The components or the I don't know, the motion, animation, the interactions like that I'm putting together is code that like I'm writing and really excited
Hmm.
about from a production level. And then I can hand that over to those teams and like, here is an implementation of this component for this design. And then someone can get that, into the production code base. It's just the most efficient way, being that like I have a lot of things that I need to focus on for the design side of things. So
Yeah.
however fast I can author what I'm implementing and just do the work for the developer, then they can go get it into production, write the unit test for it. Like I take as much as possible off their plate. So
Yeah.
that while they're doing that, I can get back to whatever design initiative I need to focus on, which then will turn into another development initiative, which then will get handed off and then back to it. And I'm really, really excited about that sort of flow.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's been great. It's been really surprising culture. I didn't really know, I guess, what to expect, but it's proven to be really exciting. What they're doing, gosh, the tech that we're working with, and like I've seen a
Yeah, I can
couple.
imagine.
They're the
Yeah.
future. Like this is the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's really inspiring stuff, and just inspiring in a way of like I want to move that needle too. It makes me like I didn't realize this was possible, so now I have to rethink how I'm going to approach solutions, knowing that you can do something like this. So yeah, it's been really cool. It's been really, really fun. I'm excited to
Yeah.
continue to dig into more of the surfaces and the products and all that type of stuff. But overall, yeah, the theme of what you were asking initially of how to start a new project, and it's just kind of going into it very fresh.
Yeah.
Um, we've said a lot, like you hire the best person for that role and just let him go. And I'm hoping that I'm treated that way. I feel like I'm treated that way. So I approach these types of things as I'm just going to do what I would do until somebody tells me to stop doing it. you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I've got something just came to mind there that I think could be a good thing to talk about as well. Like I don't know how. Obviously, I mean, you must be using AI as well in your sort of workflow in your everyday. And obviously, I've seen like Carl speaking about how
mm,
a lot of the designers at Shopify are now like implementing sort of AI into their design workflow or whatever. And I've not seen anywhere what they're actually using and how they're actually using it. I think that would be a
mm,
good episode though, like to dive into that whenever and if it becomes public. But over it wasn't that weekend, the previous weekend. I watched a Red episode with Nick Pattison and Pran, I think it was,
mm.
and
Henry
the other
Modus,
guy.
right?
Sorry.
Henry from Perplexity. Henry.
Yes,
Yeah, Henry.
yes. Did you catch that episode?
I a bit here and there, like
Yeah,
not.
like
It's more broken up for me.
when I watched that episode, I was like obviously I'm obviously full design background, and I don't have a lot of experience, obviously, if any experience, like coding or developing or writing code or whatever. But um, I just thought obviously I've played around with like V0 and I've played around with Lovable and things like that, but I just haven't quite grasped I haven't quite grasped like the prompting and things like that. But when I watched that episode, I was just like my mind was just like completely blown. Like it just kind of like opened up something in my mind, like where it was, in the episode. We can link it in the description in the YouTube, in a YouTube description for people to kind of watch this if you've not watched it already. But it was fascinating how like Nick was using V0 and Lovable to sort of build these sort of tools that he would use for his like, you know, his brand, his branding agency, and he would use it on projects so that, you know, so for example, to give some context, they built out this sort of like pattern generator where it was fascinating to see how he was using like these AI tools to almost like bridge the sort of in, you know, the sort of like things that he's incapable of doing in Figma, or, you know, I mean, he's probably capable of doing it in Figma, but it just would take far too long, and it was just so fast. It just like blew my mind, like, and it kind of, you know, I don't know if I'm just slow to the game, but when I watched it, I was just like, oh my god, like I never ever thought about using that tool that way, you know, like to
Mhm.
use like V0 and Lovable that way. So I tried to like use it, like build my own like pattern generator, and I've actually built like a tool like throughout. Like I spent like 3 or 4 days like prompting into this like thing, trying to get it to work properly, and it was like frustrating, you know. It was like it was pretty annoying, like trying to like get it working properly. But I think I got it to like a good place where it was actually giving me some like really interesting results, and um yeah, I don't know, like that episode like completely like it just like opened my mind to like how to use these like new AI tools that are coming out like every week, it feels like, but to
Mhm.
sort of bridge that sort of like gap between myself and Figma and maybe some of the things that I'm really not quite good at in Figma. And I feel like it's just another sort of like uh it's almost like a power move, you know, like it just like like I was prompting in different parameters, and it was giving me all these different sort of like results every time like a new prompt was added. And you know, I don't know, I think like just in the future, hopefully, you know, I get better at prompting clearly, but um I just think like some of the the ideas that came to my mind to like work and take that into like client work.
Mhm.
So obviously I went down the same path. Like I've created like a tool now that, you know, I'll be able to share with the client, and then, you know, they can then use that tool to use to create different patterns for, you know, things in the future, whether that's like OG images or like YouTube thumbnails, or, you know, different graphical sort of
Mhm.
elements. And they don't obviously need to come back to me to do that stuff. They'll have like a tool where they'll be able to like output that stuff themselves. So don't know, really, really, I thought that was like a good thing to talk about, just because I wasn't quite sure if you'd seen the episode, but I would encourage people to watch it, just because, yeah, I don't know, for me, it just kind of opened up like a whole new sort of like way of thinking, and like I said, bridging that gap of like the AI tools and how to bring those ideas into Figma, and like,
Mhm.
yeah, fascinating. I loved it.
I used it primarily like it being AI and AI tools. I've never used Lovable. I don't use any sort of code generation tools. Like I don't know. As a designer, and just I can't be confident in a solution driven by my words as opposed to driven by like my implementation of it. But
Yeah,
what I can do with getting to some good foundations of where I know, set in a direction that I want to be, to get clarity on that direction quicker is like that's what I'm
yeah,
using it for. Like
it's
I have
invaluable. Yeah,
no interest in bucking these tools because I know I can do it myself. I leverage these tools and leverage these models to get me where I want to be much faster. Like
yep,
I'm still utilizing my intuition and my taste to produce a result that came from me very much, but the inspiration, the scaffolding, the like all of this stuff that is necessary, and I can leverage this model that's millions of times smarter than me to come up with ideas and iterate on those
hmm,
ideas together to get to a final idea that I'm presenting as like this is where I ended up is how I utilize them, and like just feels like you could do the job of 10. It's just
yeah,
it's
exactly. Yeah,
thrilling. It's absolutely thrilling.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think the people talking about the AI bubble and all of this type of stuff going away are just people that are just not using it. because it's
Yeah,
just like
exactly. Yeah, I
life-changing technology.
yeah, I was when I watched that video, it just sort of like opened up like like that the ideas almost felt endless, you know? Like before, like I never really saw me using those tools just because like, you know, like I've seen like obviously people using them to like build out marketing sites and things like that. And I just feel like I would just be much quicker doing that in Figma, like you said, rather than actually prompting my way to getting the design that I want to look
Mhm,
like. But you know, I just feel like to use the tools in a way that can build out like a tool that I can create patterns, create different gradients, create sort of like you know, sort of properties or that of things that I might use within a overall design. I feel like that's where the sort of kind of shining moment was for me. And I was like, I've obviously been thinking about it wrong, you know. To use the AI sort of tools to sort of build these tools for me that make my life a lot easier when I bring that into Figma. So, for example, the pattern tool that I designed, I've created like an SVG, like a copy as SVG button, and literally when I'm happy with the pattern or whatever it is I've created, literally just copy as SVG, drag it into Figma, and then I've got a lot more control to then build on that pattern that I've
mhm.
created. So, um, yeah, that was like the sort of kind of you know the kind of head switch moment for me. Like I think like um, I'm excited to actually use these tools now rather than being sort of like um, kind of disorientated when I go into like these tools like V0 and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
before, you know, I never really had like a sort of like use for it as such, but now having that sort of like context like has really helped.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem from I guess the biggest challenge for me is any tools that I'm working on where I'm designing interfaces for folks to use I want them to immediately know what to do because that's I
Mhm.
think the biggest kind of friction point right now is that when you introduce this experience, because everyone's creating new experiences now. At Shopify, we're creating new experiences and interfaces that you've never seen before. And when we create these interfaces, it's inherently folks are going to come to this page and think, what do I do? And that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Like I
Mhm.
don't want I either we're presenting them with something that's immediately valuable that I want them to dive further into,
Yeah.
or something about it feels familiar enough that they start interacting with it.
Mhm.
And there's another thing that you said that really caught me was it was something to the effect of I hope I get better at prompting, or I wish I was
Yeah.
better at prompting, or I want to be better at prompting. And it's just so concerning for folks to think like that, but they have to because of the way that this technology presents itself through
Yeah.
like text input right now.
Yeah.
Uh, I, on the other hand, want to create interfaces and experiences that you don't have to be good at prompting because I don't want you to have to be good at prompting to get the desired results from my interface.
Yeah.
Um, how do we do that? Still, figuring that out. Like a
Mhm.
model system prompting, model tooling, like um, you just want things to be accurate based because you can never when I was a hypermode and we building agents and their productivity agents, I never wanted anybody to have to say things a certain way to be able to get the desired results from it. Like
Yeah.
it should be millions of people saying things a different way and still getting the result that they expect.
Yeah.
And that's I think the biggest challenge for me is
Yeah. That's
presenting these solutions and having this like universal way to interact with it because you can't predict
yeah.
or tell people what to say.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't
you
know about that. Like
right
you
now
said.
get better results, but I want to create
Yeah.
interfaces that have better results based on anything that you say.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's definitely been the pain point for me, and probably why I've sort of like not played around with like the tools as much because obviously the prompting side of it, I've just always sort of struggled with it. But what I did do was like I remember watching I think it was another episode of Dive Club, and it was Rid that actually mentioned how he uses like Chat GPT, and he basically gives like a rough idea of what he's trying to do, but then ask ChatGPT to give him like a bunch of prompts that he can then use those prompts. So that's what I did to build the tool. I just asked ChatGPT, like, here's like the idea I'm going for. Like, give me like a really good prompt that I can use to take to V0, and it did give me like really good prompts to sort of kind of put in there, and sort of like limited the amount of headaches that I would get from actually prompting myself. So I think
I
that's
do
like
it
a
a lot.
good way of doing it.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
do it a lot. I use
Yeah.
LLMs to create bit more quality prompts. Like let the LLM tell me what I should be telling the LLMs.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That,
Feel like there should be like a bridge there somewhere, like there's some
yeah,
sort
you
of
could
like,
have said it better. But that
yeah,
is like
yeah,
that is potentially an option for a solution of if if a human inputs something, you then in the background leverage another LLM to translate what they're saying
yeah,
into something more digestible by
yeah.
the other LLM, and then feed that there and see if you get better results. Like I'm
Hmm.
a huge fan of there's a company Grok, and
That's right.
like their inference technology is the fastest I've ever experienced, and it's just such a delight to work with those endpoints because it's so insanely fast. It just like the open source the OpenAI open source model, it's the 20 billion parameter model, their OSS one. It runs at like 1,000 tokens per second. And I like to use that as that bridge for doing things that can sacrifice accuracy of the result for the speed. So like a hypermode, I use that model to create a system prompt for the model so that when someone typed in like I want a personal chef, like I don't want them to I want a personal chef who does this and this and this and this and this. They could just type in like create agent, what type of agent do you want? A personal chef. And but the outcome of that, like when you go to that chef's profile and you look at the system prompt, it's extremely detailed, long system prompt, because that's the accuracy you need to have
Right.
really quality results from models.
Hmm.
You can't expect a human to know that or do that or even want to do that, even if you're good at it. So I could take their input and then pass that to Grok model, like that 20 billion parameter model, and produce through a tool, an LLM tool, produce that agent system prompt so insanely fast, rather than and then hand off that system prompt off to like GPT 4.5 or 5, like a reasoning model that's going to do more for us and take a little bit more time. But if I ask 4.5, 4.1, or 5 to generate that system prompt, like there's just so much horsepower and time utilized to get to that system prompt when Gronk did it in like, milliseconds.
Yeah.
So I use different models for different reasons and different usages. But like you were saying though, I mean, it's what if our inputs were translated through an LLM to
Yeah.
the reasoning model of the LLM? I mean, the reasoning model is what we're using for the accuracy and the quality of what's returned to you. But if there's this bridge step that's fast enough to not be seen, why not always evaluate what the user is inputting, take that into some sort of format that the reasoning model will handle better to provide better results, and then give it to it. So yeah, I love those types of like exploration of how can we
Yeah.
get more accurate, because again, like I don't want users to have to tell it a certain way to get the results that they want. Otherwise, they're
Yeah.
going to be in your shoes of spending 3 days on this, frustrated, trying to figure out what it wants to hear when you
Yeah.
can, hopefully an LLM to tell it what it wants to hear.
Yeah.
Like what Rid said, using an LLM to build a
Yeah.
prompt. Image generation. I love using like a JSON schema based image generation, something I'm a big fan of. And there's no like documented schema for images. Like you just make it up. But because LLMs are trained on JSON, like they interpret it extremely well. So I'll describe, if I'm doing some sort of repetitive image generation, something that I want to be very consistent in a collection, I will take the images that I want to use for inspiration, describe what I want from them and how I want it to be, and then ask an LLM, any LLM, to provide a JSON schema for what I'm trying to get to. Then I
Right.
can copy and paste what it gives me back as that, and then give it to my image generation model
Right.
and
Okay.
what it
Yeah.
puts out. And then I can take that result back to the reasoning model or whatever model I was using if I don't like it about it, and say like, I want a transparent background on this, or I want the colors to be more vibrant, things like that, and then have it regenerate a new schema and give it back to it before I have something that is repeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I use JSON schemas for image generation, because it's just so consistently good, so repeatable.
Mm-hmm.
I assume like XML would be another good solution as well, because I've definitely used XML for prompting as well. But yeah, the theme of this is using LLMs to provide you more accurate prompts, for what you're trying to do. But I'm a big believer in is using, like, not having you to go back and forth. Like, use the tools that you're using, and then in the background translate that for the user to get better results. So
Yeah, I
some
mean, I think it will only get better as well.
yeah,
Like, from I feel like it's moving so quickly that our podcast will be irrelevant next week.
mhm. Yeah, we're
you
just gonna
know,
be bots. We're gonna
yeah,
watch ourselves be
yeah,
recorded.
yeah. No, but I mean, no, I mean, like the conversation we're having right now will be totally irrelevant. That this will
Oh
probably
yeah.
be solved
Well,
next week.
a model got, yeah,
Yeah,
something just wiped out,
yeah.
everything.
It's how
Yeah,
quickly things move, but
it is
yeah, it's
insane.
yeah. I don't know if you've seen. This is totally off topic, but I don't know if you've seen like my viral tweet. Did you see my viral tweet?
I saw you comment about it. Was it? What was it?
It
You
was like the In Common With website, and they've done this like really cool thing where like you
the
hit like
lights
the
turn
top.
on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't remember where I seen it, and it was LinkedIn that I seen it. That's why I took ages to like find the actual creator of who designed it. But like I remember it was just in my browser, and I must have like clicked back into it, and I've screen recorded it, put it on Twitter. But my God, like my phone was just like going crazy. It's like got like 55,000 likes. It's got like 20,000 bookmarks. Like, like it's so silly. Um,
I mean, it's
but
gorgeous. It's such a cool idea
oh,
for a
such
lighting tower. Like that.
so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I did see like a few comments, a few people, like a bunch of people replied to it, and it's interesting like hearing some of like some of people's opinions, and like a lot of people were saying they didn't really like how the entire page didn't like go full black, to like almost like say like almost to like mimic like the lights going out,
Mhm.
like to do that. But I can't remember who it was. Someone just replied to me there, but and they mentioned that we were like talking back and forth about how the way it was done was like so tasteful, like really done so well, because it's so subtle, but like as soon as you hit that toggle button, it's like it the page dims like ever so slightly. It doesn't like go full black. Like I don't believe it should do that anyway,
Yeah.
but it's
Just like the
just
lights
done
get
so.
dimmed.
Yeah, it's just like it dims ever so slightly, and I just think it's just such a great like sort of simple um, visual design sort of technique that they've done there, and I don't know, I loved it. Like, and obviously a lot of other people loved it, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's yeah, I thought that was like such a great like little sort of kind of design technique that I feel like they probably I think that was what the person said. That was like the focus is on like the actual products themselves. Like it's all they sell like lights and wall lights and lamps or whatever. So the focus is actually on the products themselves. So turning the page completely black probably disassociates someone from the actual products rather than like bringing the focus to the products themselves.
Mhm.
So by just like dimming the page ever so slightly, I feel like it must be like, I don't know, it'd be like a mid-range color on their color palette, and they've just like went one notch like up the way, um, rather than like going the full end of the spectrum. But Yeah, loved it. I feel like, and I wonder from like, I was curious about this. Like, I wonder how they've actually like implemented that. You know, would they have had to? Do you reckon they've maybe used AI to like, get they've maybe took one of the lights that they've got off, like how it looks off, but then all the lights that when they're turned on, do you think they've ran that through like an AI like LLM to say like,
Totally could have.
or do you think like they've actually like, I don't know. I mean, it seems kind of silly that the amount of products they have in their page, like to actually photograph like how it looks off and how it looks on in the exact same light, and it just seems too the lighting just seemed too harmonious to get it perfect for every
Mhm.
every product,
Yeah, I wonder if there was some post-production involved there to kind of, like, even out
Yeah.
all of them, but I totally think an LLM could have done that. Maybe
Hmm.
maybe there was a photographer that cared enough about
Yeah,
that, and
I
that
know.
to, like,
Hopefully.
to talk about somebody, their
Yeah.
craft,
Yeah.
like, caring a lot, but I wouldn't see why not. Like, I would certainly use an LLM for that. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much more cost effective, so much more consistent, like,
Quicker.
there's yeah,
Yeah.
and quicker. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh but it's awesome, yeah, I love that it didn't go completely black as well, because it just gives you a
Yeah.
sense that there's, like, some lights on this page. I mean, that's the
Exactly.
whole theme of it is,
Exactly.
like, turn the lights off, but if you turn the lights off with a lamp on, it's not gonna be pitch
Yeah.
black.
And
There's light.
it also, like you mentioned there, like it also sort of stays true to like a real life environment. Like I feel like if the whole page just went black, it would just seem odd because you would expect to see some reflective light at least like elsewhere on the page, to try and keep that sort of realism. And I feel like the way they did it, it captures that perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, really, I loved it. And weirdly enough, the guy who designed it, I think, isn't on Twitter, so they kind of. I mean, I tagged him and I tagged him in a reply, but he never. I don't think he's seen it. So got like 5 million impressions on that tweet. So they got like a good amount of traffic probably.
Hopefully. Did the company respond to it at all or anything like that?
No, no, no.
No?
I don't even think they have like a Twitter account, which is weird. So yeah, they missed out on like a lot of traction. So who
Yeah, it gives
knows?
me some ideas for our merchants at Shopify. Gives me some
Yeah.
really good ideas on signaling the type of engagement folks are getting because they should totally
Yeah.
know about
Yeah.
like that. So
I know. Well, I did try and tag them, but so we'll see. We'll see if they're right back.
yeah, that's super cool though. Yeah, I love that product stuff, and oh man, I'm excited again. Like I said at Shopify, like to get merchants to have that type of delight, like us providing that type of stuff.
Exactly.
It,
Exactly.
yeah, thinking for them so that they can focus more on their stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Speaking of Twitter, Brian Levin posted it was yesterday a really awesome tweet. I actually saw it in our company chat as well, shared, but a little bit of backstory. So I got to work with Brian at Campsite for a while, and he really is like this insightful. I can't think of the message. I think I have it screenshotted somewhere in Discord. There's another sort of very profound message that he shared about design philosophy. And it was just like, wow, like I'd never thought of it that way. I'm sorry I don't have the actual content for you, but I'm just reinforcing that like this isn't just a Brian Levin like shower thought type thing. Like he really
Yeah.
so the tweet
Yeah.
here is actually Lee Rob at Cursor, formerly Vercel, was tweeted that the most practical design advice he's heard is to constrain himself. Pick one or two font sizes, use only a few grays, and add colors sparingly. Most of my old designs with 3 font weights, 6 grays, and 4 different, and ellipses after that. But so that's Lee. And then Brian Quote tweeted it saying, you get a certain amount of credits to spend to create visual hierarchy. This is one way to think about it, he says. Size, color, space, weight, and typeface. The goal is to create a clear design while spending as few credits as possible. Some designs overspend and things feel messy. Some designs underspend and there's not enough hierarchy to latch onto. Good practice is to start by spending a single credit, see how it feels, and only spend more if it's not clear yet. For example, if you're trying to create visual hierarchy between 2 pieces of text, try changing only the weight instead of changing both the weight and the size at the same time. Um, I just totally agree. And I thought that's how people like did it. Like, and I think maybe like you beat that into me a while back of just like, and it wasn't even that you said anything. It's just like designing with you and realizing that like this is all the same font size, but it's just different weights to emphasize. And then
Yeah,
also leveraging like maybe a slightly larger font size, but maybe some letter spacing adjustments as well. And just like small, minimal, changes, but like fully aligned with Brian here. Like that,
yeah,
less, less is more. And, one font
exactly.
for everything, maybe a font for headings, but then everything else needs to be the same font. And
Yeah,
yeah.
almost. I love how there's people like Brian who can just articulate like that thing really well, and that's like a perfect example of this because, um, yeah, I agree. Like I feel like you know it almost seems so obvious, like everything that he's written, but
Yeah.
I think like in my work and I always try and do all of the above. I try and like simplify and constrain because I feel like you're for the designs that I create and the designs that I've created for many years now, I've always tried to simplify as much as possible, and that almost like flows into the sort of direction of like a sort of minimal, clean sort of vibe that I'm going for, and I just feel attracted to that sort of design style just because I like it and that's what I enjoy. And when I look at other websites out there and designs, that's what I gravitate towards, and I always find joy in those sort of designs. So um yeah, I mean, I think like Brian like said it perfectly. I think you know thinking of those sort of like components as like credits and like almost like checklisting that. And if you've got too many, you kind of like, okay, I'll uncheck that one, and just like play around like the typography. Sorry, the hierarchy, like the visual hierarchy between the two pieces of text. Like that's just such a great like way of thinking about it. If something kind of feels off, just try changing like only one of the things.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's I don't know. You just get clever people like Brian who are really well versed and very talented at sort of like articulating the very obvious things. Like I couldn't have said it any better. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think like I think like thinking about it that way and trying to almost like simplify the components of whatever it is you're designing. I feel like for me, that's like something I've always just tried to do, and I feel like you end up with um, really clean sort of results in that way.
I remember Adam tweeting about Emil's website, Emil Kowalski,
Hmm.
one of our former coworkers. His website is pretty much all one font size, but leverages
Yeah,
different weights, for the headings. And he also
yeah,
has he leverages different colors for his paragraph text being more faint. That's something that we all very commonly do. It looks like he's adjusted some sizes in his headings, but for the longest time, it felt like it was just all the same font weight down the entire page. But what Adam, tweeted about was like it just like takes a special amount of talent to make something look so good and use one font size for it, and just like those different credits spent on either the color of the text or the weight of the text, and it
hmm,
just makes it so clean. It's just so nice. Um, yeah,
yeah.
and Brian is very good at articulating. You said that type of stuff. There's another person that I've followed since the dawn of my career. Still do. Cameron Mole is his name.
Oh yeah,
Cameron is a design leader. I think he was at Facebook for a while, as it is like yeah, like his Twitter is a book. It's just a book of endless knowledge,
yeah,
and his ability to articulate these philosophies is just next level. And yeah, if
yeah.
there's
Really
like
valuable.
a list of
Yeah,
5 to 10 people that you were only allowed to follow, Cameron would be on that list, and just
yeah,
so insightful. But of course, Brian would too. But it's yeah, I love hearing these leaders, articulate things in that way.
for sure.
And it kind of just says the obvious, which is the surprising part. It's just like I didn't realize
Yeah,
people needed to hear that, type
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm so glad that that folks do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you read and you sort of kind of sit back and just it's just like bringing the obvious to the forefront, you know, and but written so well, and the analogy's perfect for it, you know. But yeah, I love it. I love it. As soon as I read that, I had to retweet it. Yeah, I've enjoyed that tweet, and obviously, yeah, like you said, I think Brian and Cameron definitely two people I've been following for a number of years now, and really really worth following those guys if you kind of want to get more insightful sort of like design knowledge and in that sense. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, you should follow them if you're not following them already.
Yeah, definitely. Another person I want to give a shout out to is our new editor, Matt. Like the work that he's been doing for it.
Yes.
So good. Like, and he's sharing more and more with James and I that like for future episodes, future edits, and it's just like, gosh, it's
Yeah, I love
so
it.
cool what he does.
Yeah,
And it's Matt Evans. Twitter is Motion Coder is his
motion
Twitter
coder.
handle. So give
Yeah,
him a follow. He has 69 followers. Like that dude should
yeah.
have
Yeah.
thousands, and just such
I thought you were
cool
going to make a 69 joke there. Yeah.
uh, yeah, just such quality work. And so we're so stoked to be teaming up with him, and again the stuff that he's been working on for us and the edits and the videos and all that, and
Yeah,
excited to continue to work
you'll
with him.
see the new intro that was Matt.
Yeah,
You'll see the new like sort of template for this video as well, which is amazing. Like I love it.
yeah.
It just adds so much more value to just like two of our faces, you know.
Mhm. He's just a type of
So
person that, they just have good taste. But we
yeah,
didn't suggest any of this. Like we didn't give any
no,
ideas
like
on
that's
any.
I know that's a
Like
perfect thing. Like
it just shows up with ideas that are just really good, and it's just really
yeah,
good taste. So
yeah,
yeah, it's really really excited for him for sure. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think we could wrap it up there.
Yeah, no, it's been a good episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. Yeah, if you've got anything that you want us to talk about or anything you want us to bring up in an episode, you can always reach out to us on Twitter, which is at shape_FM. Um, yeah, I think
That's
that's
James M on Twitter. I'm Pixel Janitor on Twitter, and I'll see you next time.
yeah. See ya.